our original cowboy in a family so vast, tall and slender and cheerful, a smile ingrained as if cast. A cowboy, a farmer, he's had one horse or two, best sight of them all to see him dance with Old Blue. He taught you to ride, he encouraged you to go, he put you at ease, he's been there, he'd know. He'd saddle you up, if you were lucky on Blue, away you would ride for a mile or two. On the farm or the ranch, at home or away, his rope would be with him to add joy to the day. He'd rope you or heel you, even teach you to throw. Whoever got away, not many I know, you'd zig and you'd zag. To get him to miss, he'd catch you for sure with a flick of his wrist. He loved all his critters, furry, feathered, and hooved, the good ones, the bad ones, and the rotten ones too. He loved to talk about farming. It was his life, what he knew. But he always would ask, and how about you? He had time for us all. In his family there's a few. More than hi, how you doing? He was sincere, he was true. Lost, not forgotten, for he never shall be. He's been here and touched us, that is quite plain to see. Although past and departed, he's now comfortable at rest. He will live in our memories, which are truly the best. And Darrell says, it's easy to write about Uncle John, it's just hard to keep it short.
John's one of John's younger brothers. My wife and brother Alf and sister Eileen were to visit John 2 weeks ago, the day before he passed away. And when I got home, I sat down at my workstation at home, which is in front of the computer, and I come up with this little sort of a poem. I entitled it John. Your painful days are over, your restless nights have passed. God took John in his arms and whispered, peace at last. The family chain is broken down, and nothing seems the same. But as God takes us one by one, that chain will link again. We lost a brother with a heart of gold, worth more to us than wealth untold. From earthly toil to heavenly rest, God took John, one of the best. I love you, John.
We haven't known John and Eileen for very long, perhaps 12 years or so. But my husband bought young draft horses in Indiana, brought them home and did the basic training on them. And John bought a team from us. And everything they said about him being a man of integrity, of knowledge, of kindness, is the absolute truth. And the thing that stands out in my mind when I think of how my husband thought of John, he said, you don't sell John just any horse. John knew his horses. He knew the good ones. And he knew how to handle his business deal. And we certainly appreciate the fact that we had the opportunity to know John. Thank you.
For 3 years, and we've only met twice on the farm, but it's had an amazing impact on my life. I have, I guess, the privilege of traveling the world and meeting farmers and to talk about sustainable agriculture. And there are farmers who talk about renewing soil, and then there are farmers who know how to do it. And John was in that latter group, and I think it's so fitting to have Clover here today because that was a centerpiece of renewing his land. And I think that's the other thing that we listen to everyone sharing today is that he's very much a person of place and improving where he is at that time. And perhaps that in itself is a challenge to all of us. And his way was through improving his land and improving his community and improving those of us who are fortunate to be around him. And one personal anecdote that I'll just miss terribly, it had a lot to do with this place, but it's the time on the porch at the house, and the conversations we would have. I think I've had 2 good conversations in the last 2 years, and they happened on that porch. So.
Of a young enough age that we had the blessing to grow up with John. And he worked hard, but he knew how to play too. And I have so many memories of summers with cousins and family friends, and he could ice skate like crazy. You didn't stand a chance in a badminton game. And when he gave you a hug, your feet came right up off the ground. And I'm just very fortunate to have grown up with Uncle John in my life.
My name is Isolde Grauman, and I am a hospice nurse. So I knew John just on the end of his life. But when I came to the home, I knew there was something very special here. Very special. He reminds me of Psalms 1, where the roots go into a river, it says there, and the tree brings the fruit at the right time. I wish I would be like that, where my roots, trusting in God, go to the river, what is the river of life, and I saw this in John, and he brought fruit at the right time. When we were done with what I needed to do, John wanted prayer. That was his main thing, and that sustained him. Raylene and John are very special people. And I feel, too, the farming and supporting and keeping the soil the way it should be is very important. I learned in a very few weeks a lot. Thank you. It was so good to get to know this person.
I was Gerald Lawler. I had the privilege of meeting John Raylene in 1987. I still remember the very first phone call when Raylene called and asked for an interview to do an article on putting lambs on slats to save coyotes' favorite diet. But on the way down here today, I got a chance to listen to Dr. David Jeremiah talking about integrity in leadership. Now, John never held the official position in life or in politics or any place. But the crowd here today will speak volumes about the fruit that fell off of his tree, what he stood for, the integrity that he had, and the lifestyle that he lived. I just so loved visiting with John and Raylene for many years, because we could sit down and talk genetics. Cattle, sheep, horses, chickens, it didn't matter. He had a brilliant mind. He lived what he had value in, and that was truth and honesty. And I think all the other points that we cover here today, he truly loved the soil. He loved agriculture. He loved the family farm, which this country was built on and needs to get back to. So, Raylene, one thing I can say is, congratulations. You know where John is, and I can't wait to get there.